Imagine walking into a room where nobody knows your name. Before you say a single word, people have already started forming opinions about you. Some assume you're capable. Some think you're nervous. Others decide whether they should approach you or avoid you. Here's the surprising part. Most of those first impressions happen in just a few seconds, long before your voice has a chance to explain who you really are. Have you ever wondered why someone with average speaking skills seems instantly respected, while someone brilliant struggles to get noticed? It isn't always about appearance. It isn't even always about confidence. Often, it's about the quiet signals your body sends before your mouth ever opens. And the good news is this: those signals can be changed. Not by pretending to be someone you're not, but by understanding how people naturally interpret human behavior. Think back to the last time you entered a meeting, a classroom, a job interview, or even a family gathering. Before anyone greeted you, what were you doing? Were your shoulders rounded? Were your eyes fixed on your phone? Did you rush through the doorway as if hoping nobody would notice you? Maybe you've never thought those tiny moments mattered. But behavioral experts like Joe Navarro, a former FBI behavioral analyst, have long explained that people instinctively pay attention to nonverbal cues because they often reveal emotional states more quickly than words. That doesn't mean a single gesture proves what someone is thinking. Instead, our brains naturally combine multiple signals with the surrounding context to make rapid first impressions. And that's where confidence begins. Not in your speech, but in your presence. Imagine two people waiting outside the same interview room. Both have identical qualifications. One repeatedly taps their foot, clutches their bag tightly, and keeps glancing around. The other stands comfortably, breathes steadily, and occasionally looks around the room without appearing frantic. Who would you assume feels more prepared? Chances are, you'd choose the second person. Interestingly, that judgment isn't necessarily because they're actually more confident. It's because their body appears less threatened. Psychologists often describe confidence as something people infer from behavior rather than directly observe. When your body moves calmly, other people tend to perceive you as calm. This is why your first goal isn't to look impressive. It's simply to remove unnecessary signs of tension. Relax your shoulders. Let your hands rest naturally. Slow your breathing. Stand as though you have nowhere else you urgently need to be. These small adjustments make you appear more comfortable in your environment, and comfort is often interpreted as confidence. But posture alone isn't enough. There's another signal people notice almost instantly. Have you ever made eye contact with someone and immediately looked away? Almost everyone has. Eye contact is one of the strongest social signals we exchange, yet it's also one of the most misunderstood. Some people believe confident individuals stare intensely. Actually, prolonged staring can feel intimidating or uncomfortable. Research on social interaction suggests that healthy eye contact is balanced. It shows engagement without becoming a challenge. Confident people usually make eye contact, naturally look away, then reconnect. It's relaxed, not forced. Imagine introducing yourself to someone new. Instead of darting your eyes toward the floor after every sentence, allow yourself to comfortably meet their gaze for a few moments at a time. You're not trying to dominate. You're showing that you're present. And people often remember presence more than perfection. But there's another mistake many people make without realizing it. Picture someone walking through an office hallway. They're moving as fast as possible. Their head barely lifts. Their movements seem rushed. Now picture someone else walking at a comfortable pace. Not slow, not dramatic, just unhurried. Who appears more confident? Our brains often associate frantic movement with urgency or uncertainty, while controlled movement can signal composure. Of course, context matters. Someone may simply be late, but across many everyday situations, Movement contributes to the overall impression. Have you ever noticed how experienced speakers pause before answering questions? Those pauses aren't always accidental. They're often signs that the speaker isn't afraid of silence. Confident people don't feel the need to fill every empty second. So here's something to practice tomorrow. Walk 5% slower than usual. Not enough to look unnatural. Just enough to stop rushing. Pause briefly before responding in conversations. Those tiny moments communicate that you're thinking rather than reacting. And that subtle difference can completely change how others perceive you. Yet perhaps the biggest confidence signal isn't about movement at all. It's about where your attention goes. Imagine talking to someone who's constantly checking their watch, adjusting their clothes, touching their face, or looking around the room. Even if they're saying all the right things, something feels off. Psychologists sometimes refer to these as self-soothing behaviors. They're common when people feel stressed or uncertain. Everyone does them occasionally, so they shouldn't be overinterpreted. The key is noticing patterns, not isolated actions. Now imagine someone who gives you their full attention. Their body faces you. Their hands remain relatively still. They listen without constantly interrupting themselves. How does that person feel? Grounded, present, confident. One practical habit is to give your hands a purpose. Rest them naturally by your sides. Use calm gestures that match your words. Avoid unnecessary fidgeting whenever possible. Your goal isn't to eliminate movement. It's to make your movements intentional, because intentional behavior often creates an impression of self-assurance. And here's where psychology becomes even more interesting. Have you ever smiled simply because someone else smiled first? That's not a coincidence. Humans naturally mirror each other's behavior. Researchers studying social interaction have found that people often unconsciously copy posture, expressions, and gestures during comfortable conversations. This mirroring helps build rapport, though it isn't something you should force. Confident people often influence the emotional tone of a room because their calm behavior becomes contagious. Imagine entering a meeting while breathing slowly, standing comfortably, and greeting people with a relaxed smile. Without saying much, you're already encouraging others to feel more at ease. This doesn't mean everyone will automatically like you, but it does increase the chances that your presence will be experienced as reassuring rather than anxious. And that's an important distinction. Confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. Sometimes it's about helping everyone else feel calmer. But there's one final lesson that ties everything together. Many people spend years trying to fake confidence. They memorize power poses. They force deep voices. They imitate charismatic celebrities. Sometimes those techniques help temporarily. But genuine confidence isn't a performance you switch on. It's the result of repeatedly showing your brain that you can handle situations without panic. Behavioral psychologist Amy Cuddy's work helped popularize the idea that our bodies and minds influence each other, although some specific findings about power poses have been debated and not consistently replicated. The broader takeaway remains useful. How you carry yourself can affect both how others perceive you and, in some situations, how you feel. So instead of chasing the appearance of confidence, practice the habits that support it. Stand with ease. Breathe steadily. Make balanced eye contact. Move with intention. Focus on the people around you instead of constantly monitoring yourself. Over time, these behaviors become less like techniques and more like who you are. And that's when people begin noticing your confidence before you've even spoken. The biggest lesson is simple. People don't read minds. They read patterns. No single posture, glance, or gesture reveals exactly what someone is thinking. The most accurate impressions come from observing clusters of behaviors alongside the situation they're happening in. The same principle applies to you. You don't need to become someone else. You simply need to remove the signals that accidentally communicate fear, uncertainty, or discomfort, and replace them with calm, authentic presence. The next time you walk into a room, pay attention to those first silent moments, because sometimes the strongest thing you'll ever say isn't spoken at all. If you've ever experienced one of these situations, let us know in the comments. Which confidence cue surprised you the most? And if you want to better understand people and improve your social intelligence, subscribe for more psychology and body language insights.